With 190 feet.
Yes.
Which one is that?
Mr. City Attorney, please.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah.
There are two items. One has to do with much more than a Ferris wheel. It's a zoning item that will allow them to be able to build structures up to 190 feet, which is about 19 stories.
Thank you. I believe the City Attorney's Office has prepared an amendment with regard to that, out of that exact case.
May I interject?
Yes, Mr. Reyes. Let me just make sure we have a motion. Is there a motion? Second by the chair?
Second by the chair. Okay.
Yeah, we'll start the session.
During our agenda briefing, I had a point that I want to make it very explicitly stated that any changes that we're going to have is for that little piece of land only. So, and that limitation, I think is extremely important because we don't want Bayside anybody in Bayside and to start building a structure that start building on it using that 190 feet. Also, there is. I requested the city attorney to change the language from structures, plural, to structure. That is a specific for that area that the Ferris wheel is going to be built.
Madam City Attorney, let me see if she's addressed these two issues.
So with regard to the way that the amendment is drafted now, it's a little ambiguous as to how many structures, how big. So what we wanted to clarify that this would be an amendment just for the Ferris wheel. It would be for a Ferris wheel for this operator in a specific location.
A temporary structure.
Absolutely.
That it is nothing that would be misconstrued to be giving out air rights throughout the property, and that we reserve air rights throughout the rest. So it would be this specific little area. We even have a sketch that Mr. Pathman kindly provided.
Does the mover accept the amendment?
Yes, I do.
Same with the seconder. Other comments, please.
What I want to clear up is that the reason is important to clarify that is a temporary structure because a Ferris wheel is something that is not there permanent, like a building, let's say. You could put up, you could take down. If it would have been a permanent structure, a building, then this would have to go back to a referendum.
Yep.
And that's the difference on this whole question. That's clarified, I think, that it's only for that particular place or a temporary structure that would be a Ferris wheel.
We will make those changes.
And the singular as well? Was that taken into account? Singular versus plural?
That's right.
Right, because right now it says structures. We're actually going to say Ferris wheel.
That's right.
Just so that there's no question.
Here is the other problem that I have. And this is not just for Bayside, but across the board with anybody that we have entered in the past with leases. Air rights are very valuable. They're a property right. Property right. If I remember correctly, so many years ago, maybe Pam can refresh my memory. What we get from Bayside is around 6% of the gross. Is that correct, Pam? Or 6%? Look, we get 6% of the gross of stuff that is down on the ground. We're talking about air rights now. Look at and I'm all in favor of the Ferris wheel, let me say. I think it's going to be a huge addition to Miami. But air rights are very valuable, and Bayside is going to make a tremendous amount of additional dollars on this lease for themselves. The city of Miami cannot keep on going, doing deals for himself, that we're shortchanging the residents of Miami in what we do. If Bayside is going to do much better in a deal that had nothing to do with the original ground lease, this is airlines, we should be getting a much higher percentage than 6%. And this is why I wanted to bring this point up. I mean, it's great that they're friends, they're good neighbors, Monty, sus, whatever they want in the future, we will give them. By the way, Monty, you talked about a fraternity. Let me let you know why everybody here is dressed in black, basically. It's not that they're, you know, the Bruce brothers. It's that we had something very special today for a great man, Maurice Ferret. But it's no fraternity. But going back on the issue, listen, I don't like to be taken for a sucker. And this is taking all of us and the residents of Miami for suckers. Bayside is going to make a lot of money in this, and that's fine. You know, that's the American way. But since we're giving them something that was not in the lease, then we should get a higher percentage of those air rights, not 6%.
Thank you. Vice Chairman?
My understanding is, and an knowledge of the information that was given to me, there was a scribble error in the original lease, and some of the additional land should have been given to the contract. That was my understanding, so I want to clarify it.
Well, that's got nothing to do with this. Nothing whatsoever.
So right now, the only thing that's here before you today has to do with the exception for the Ferris wheel and then the amendment for the Ferris wheel. We still have not been dealing with that extra land and
Mr. Roper?
yeah.
If you could answer a couple questions with regard to the financials. Vice Chairman, were you satisfied with that? Did you get your answer you needed? All right. Mr. Rodenberg, could you speak a little to the financials of what we receive from Bayside on a percentage basis? Will we be receiving also from the Ferris wheel? Does it pass through and we receive the same percentage?
Yes, Daniel Rodenberg, Department of Real Estate and Asset Management. It will pass through, and the Commissioner is also correct. If the air rights do come up and there is more density to be built over there, there will be a renegotiation on the terms.
Of course. Yeah, but
We're not giving them up now, is what you're saying.
We're not giving them
We're
up.
not.
That's clear. What we're talking about is this particular deal that we need to set a precedent for the future for any other deal that we do or any change to a lease that we have, that if they want air rights that was never contemplated in the original lease and they belong to the city of Miami, otherwise they wouldn't have been here, they know that,
Yes.
then we should be getting much more than 6%. Look, the London Eye, you're going to tell me that doesn't make a huge amount of money? And we could go on and on and on. So what I'm saying is that we could bring a lot more money that could go to build affordable homes for elderly, to our streets that need it, to have more city services, and Bayside has a right to make a good profit in this. This is a great project, great project, and nothing to do with the Ferris wheel going up, and this is more than a Ferris wheel, because this is not your, Ferris wheel that you get in most places. This is something with classes coming. They're air conditioned. So that's not the issue. And frankly, this is taking way too long to get to this point. I really have been amazed at how long this has taken. But this has got to do now with dollars and cents. I don't want to be up here and be taken for a sucker. Yeah, they're great partners. They're good people. And we're going to get 6%, and they're going to get 94% of our air rights and a heck of a major profit. Now, I don't know if there's anyone here. I mean, have you analyzed what kind of profits this is gonna bring, to Bayside?
Not on the Ferris wheel.
Right? So how in the heck can we just agree to 6%? And do that for 6%? Is there anybody from Bayside that can get up here and negotiate with us a higher fee?
Just a moment. I just want to clarify to answer the true crux of Commissioner Carrillo's question. Are we giving up air rights in this lease change?
We are not giving up the air rights in this lease
So
change.
if, and I'm telling you, if we had wanted to build something that was a structure, a tower, this room would be filled with a whole other group of opposition. They've done a very good job of working together with the residents to make sure there is buy-in of the residents for this structure and this structure only. And our understanding that it's temporary means we are not giving up our air rights even on that site. If we as a city chose to develop it differently, we've not given anything up in that sense, correct?
Chairman, we
Commissioner?
are letting them build in our air rights on that site.
Temporary.
Temporary. But still, it's our air rights. What we're talking here is about a lease. The issue of the Ferris wheel there, it's a non-issue to me. So let me throw that on the table. It's a non-issue. I think it's positive for the city and for that park and for Bayside. Everybody's a winner. But the issue to me is we're granting them something that we don't have to grant them if we don't want, that they don't have a right to get now. They're going to make a lot of money on it, and we're only going to get 6%. Come on. You know, and then you're going to go and tell the elderly, kids programs, food programs, we don't have the money. When in this one right here, we could get a substantial amount of more dollars for the city of Miami.
You've been clear, Commissioner, and I'm comfortable that we're not giving up our air rights, but I'm uncomfortable that our real estate asset management department doesn't actually know the amount of money that'll be made by the Ferris wheel and what would pass through to the city. Is there anyone who can help us with those numbers?
You don't have to be honest.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, staff. My name is Wayne Pathman with the law office of Pathman Lewis. I'm here on behalf of Bayside Ashkenazi. I want to clarify a couple things. I think you do understand that we're not acquiring any air rights. We are a leasehold interest, not a fee interest, and it's a temporary structure, as Commissioner Carrillo has pointed out. One other thing I would like you to consider, and we'll talk a little bit about the percentage rent and how it all works. Bayside is going to be spending roughly about $70 million to renovate this. Retail has changed, so we're adding amusements. That's why we looked at the Sky Wheel, Sky View, observation tower. And what we're doing is, like any other tenant, they are a subtenant of the city, but they are a tenant for us under the lease. And we are renting them space to erect this structure. If you're talking about having additional rent, are we going to talk about that for every tenant we get? What if we have an Apple store or a Nike Town and they're successful? Are we going to have to give city rent on those structures or on those properties or on those tenants? So we have a lease in place that does give to the city rent, and there's a provision that if we hit a certain threshold, you get additional rent or you get additional dollars. Joe Press is here from Ashkenazi, so I'm going to have him explain that and answer your question, because there is someone here from Bayside who can answer that. Let me introduce Joe.
Let me talk before, okay? Because I don't like double talk. Now, we're not talking if they bring an Apple store in the ground.
Agreed.
Or anybody else. We're talking going up. That you don't have a right to do unless we approve it. Going up is what we're talking about. And
That's
you know
what-
well that this is going to bring Bayside a big change of money. And my problem here is, again, I'll say it for the fourth or fifth time, not the Ferris wheel. I think that's great for the city. We should have had one probably years ago. This kind of Ferris wheel, not the one that you get at the FIU when we have the fair, or that kind of stuff. This is in a scale of its own, and I understand that. The problem is that you guys are going to make a bundle of money. In fact, why don't you proffer what percent you're getting from the Ferris wheel people and the deal?
For us, it's not just, hi, Joe Press with Ashkenazi Acquisition, owners of Bayside. For us, it's not just what revenue the wheel will bring in, it's what it does for Bayside. It will help out Bayside, it'll help it drive traffic. And overall, revenue at Bayside will be up, which the city will get its 6% on
Sure,
that.
but you're still gonna get a heck of a lot more revenue from the wheel. And the 70 million that he talked about, that you guys are spending and renovating that, you were spending that before the wheel.
Not necessarily, I mean, part of it's the wheel, part of it's, we have an obligation to spend substantially less than that under our ground lease. And the city gets 6% without a deduction for any expenses or any capital expenses.
Well, the deal that you have with the city is for ground lease. It's not to go up in the air. This is a different story. In fact, maybe we should get some pictures of what was in that space beforehand. That was green space with trees, okay?
No trees.
Space that would not bring them a penny. Now it's been created so they can make more money. And it's fine, I have no problems with that. My problem is that you're getting something that's not contemplated in the lease, that Bayside financially would be fine without it, so it's gonna be a huge windfall for you, and you don't want the city to get its fair share. And that's the problem that I have. And I'm not a fool, I'm not here to kiss anybody's behind, I'm not here to be a rubber stamp, so I could be patted in the head or in the shoulders and say, good boy, you're not a problematic commissioner. I'm here to represent the citizens and the residents of Miami for their best interest, not yours or anybody else's.
Thank you, Commissioner. You've been incredibly clear. I think let's get to the bottom of it. Is the rent that's being passed through from the Ferris wheel to Bayside going to meet the threshold where the city will start receiving 6% profit?
Yes.
And do we have any estimate of what that would be?
I do not have an estimate, because again, for us, it was less about what revenue the wheel would bring in, it was what it would do for Bayside.
But you do have a rent number with the wheel.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't have a rent number.
I don't understand.
I'm saying there's no, it's just what the revenue the wheel brings in.
Okay, so your deal is a straight, they put 100 people on the wheel, you get a piece of that.
Correct.
And then that passes through to us if you
Okay.
reach your threshold.
So if you're not making any money there, then maybe you guys won't have any problems. If we partner up on the profit, we get 50% for the city, you get 50%.
I'm not saying we're not gonna make money, what I'm saying is I didn't
Let's partner up.
I didn't do projections.
You're not gonna make any money on it. So let's both get 50% of
You
no money.
want to put in 50% into the capital?
Excuse me? No, we don't have to do that. You have
I'm
to do
saying
that.
you told
You're
my
not putting,
partner.
no, excuse me, you're
Let's
not
not
putting
argue
any
back and
capital.
forth, please, one at a time.
You're not putting any
One at a time.
capital up. Bayside is not putting any capital up
Okay,
in putting that wheel in. Outside of maybe the trees that were taken out.
there were no trees removed. Commissioner, just a
Yes, there
moment.
were, sir.
Were there
They
trees
had a
on
right, they had a right to remove them, but there were trees removed. The area where it's going in,
Is a piece of grass with nothing on it.
no, well, now it is, but before it became a piece of grass, there were trees there. It was green space. But they had a right to do it, I'm not questioning that. What I'm trying to point out is that it was that space for them. They created new space so that they could take air rights and make a lot of money.
You're clear. I understand. Commissioner Hardiman, Vice Chairman, and then Commissioner, if you have a specific ask, let's do it.
I just told him 50%.
Okay.
He says they're not gonna make any money.
All right, Commissioner Hardiman.
I think it's an interesting issue. We're talking about bargaining for property rights that currently you do not have. You do not have the right to go to that. And so right now, you're asking for the right to go to that. And certainly new property rights should come with some sort of value. They have a value. And so the question is, what is that value to us? So I think it's interesting. If you're partnering with an organization that's going to build the wheel, that they're not paying the rent, they're only paying you a percentage of their revenue, that means that they anticipate this is going to be quite lucrative, because at some point you would say there has to be a ceiling to how much revenue I'm going to pay you. And so even in talks of partnership, since we have the air rights, it could be a partnership. It could be, right? I would think so, between Bayside, the city, and whoever the vendor is. But also, I understand why the commissioner is asking at least for additional revenue when it pertains to that part. Now, the 6%, we understand how that goes. It goes to Bayside. And I agree with you that it's, it does not, they built a square footage building there that's below the height, then, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact of the matter is that because you're going higher, getting zoning changes that are going to make this possible, that there's going to be a new stream of revenue, it's a new opportunity to come to the table. And so I get it. I get why the commissioner is saying maybe we should have additional revenue for that particular structure that you're building at that site that's going to be higher, that's going to generate a significant amount of traffic, that's going to benefit Bayside. And so, that's not lost upon me. So, even though the it seems to be this is not an easy issue to talk about at this moment, I think that it makes sense.
Look, the problem, Commissioner, is that, look, I don't mind them being pigs. I do mind them being hogs. And this is what I'm seeing right now. They're trying to fool everybody here by, coming with a white hat. Bayside is great. They'll do X amount of scholarships, whatever. But they're going to make a lot of money of this. And our residents in all our districts, particularly your district, my district, that are the two poorest in Miami, deserve additional dollars. In fact, we can't keep going on with the city that in the good years when real estate's going up, we spend like drunken sailors. And we don't bring in new revenues so that in the bad years when real estate goes down, we don't have enough money and we start cutting on the unions, threatening layoffs, cutting back in city services. And the reason this is happening, we've been in that cycle for several decades, is that we have done nothing, this commission, past commissions, to bring in substantial recurring additional revenue that's unrelated to property taxes in the real estate market, so that we can guarantee a solid foundation and future for Miami. All of our children, grandchildren in Miami. And I'm tired of doing business as usual in the city of Miami, that big shot developers, big shot law firms, big shot owners of big projects come here and they take members of this commission up for suckers. They fill their pockets with millions of dollars, and our residents get the short change.
Is Suckers a
Commissioner,
restaurant?
just a moment. I don't believe we need to disparage the applicant. I believe we need to make sure our real estate asset management department is fighting for us. Before it comes to us, this shouldn't be happening up here. This should be brought to us with a good deal for the city.
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes.
Yes. Let's get this straight. You see, we are changing the zoning and giving you the right to place a new business, which is the Ferris Wheel, on land that you couldn't use otherwise, right? This is an additional revenue that is going to come to Bayside. It's not part of the original deal with Bayside. Am I right?
No, we're not changing the zoning. We're doing an exception.
What exception? We're doing an exception. Allow a new business that's going to be established there, that otherwise, if we don't take action, that business could not be established there.
Right.
Now, my question is the following. I think that Commissioner Carollo is raising a very interesting point. The issue is that once you start doing, that Ferris Wheel start, which I support, start generating new revenues, because you're going to charge per trip, right? If you charge $20 per trip, then how much is going to Bayside?
John?
The revenue projections, or how much?
How much? Like, just give me.
What are the revenue projections and what are the percentages that Bayside?
What percentage of the $20 goes to Bayside, and what goes to the person that placed that wheel there?
It's a revenue split.
It's a split.
Yeah.
50%.
Yes.
And the city is getting 6%, or you're 50%.
Correct.
You think that's right?
Yes.
Why?
No, I'm saying that's what.
No, that is the thing. Now, the issue here is, since this is a new revenue, source of revenue, why don't we get a higher share and And instead of just, what we're doing is we're locking that new business with the old contract we have. And I think there is room to do a new contract based on the additional revenues that wouldn't have, you wouldn't have received if we had not allowed you to do it.
Vice Chairman Gore?
Am I right?
There's a couple of things I'd like to clarify, Commissioner. First of all, I live in the same house for 56 years. There's no money going into my pocket. Nobody pays me off, and nobody can pay for my vote. I just want to make that clear.
Commissioner, no one's talking about that.
You talk
We're talking
about,
about making a good deal.
well, you talk about us, you talk about us being fools because accepting this. The reason I accepted
Because
this.
they're not giving us the
Please
information.
don't argue, let him finish. He didn't interrupt.
The reason my understanding is, this is gonna be the 6%, it's gonna be coming to us. At the same time, this is gonna be increased the volume that's gonna take place in all of Bayside, not only because of the wheel itself, but more people will be visiting the area. As we all know, Bayside has had its ups and downs, and it's been down, and it's time for them to make some changes so it can go up. If the revenues continue to go up, we'll continue to get more also. That's the only reason why I wrote this in here. About the same time, they've been working with the neighbors for a long time, and you're all aware how the residents in Biscayne Boulevard feels about anything that's being placed in there.
I'm in agreement with
Chairman.
everything you said, Commissioner, but the problem here is very different. The problem here is that they're getting, I think that, what was the percentage that you said that you were splitting?
50-50.
50-50. Okay, well, at least we're now coming with a little bit of the information that the commissioner should have been given. Because if he would have been given all the information, I don't think he would have brought this up here or sponsored this at all. This has got nothing to do with the commissioner per se. No one's questioning his integrity. This has to do with the information that Bayside has not provided. Now, you're telling us it's a 50-50 split. You know well that the Apple Store, nobody gets in Bayside unless you haven't done calculations of what they could make. And I have to assume that in particular something like this, you've done those calculations. So you must know a number.
Again, we're
Otherwise, on one hand, you're telling me you're not going to make much money, but on the other hand, you're telling me you want them because they're going to bring all those people. Well, if they're bringing all those people, you're going to make more money. So, it doesn't jive what you're telling me. You contradicted yourself.
Just a moment, Vice Chairman
Yes.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Yes.
Vice Chairman
No,
first.
that's all right, sure.
Okay, Commissioner Reyes.
You see, I do understand that by having that wheel there, the Bayside is gonna have benefits, that there are two types of benefits. One is gonna be a direct benefit, which is based on what is charged for the ridership, right? What they make. The other one is an indirect benefit that we right now, based on the deal that we have with you, that is fine. You get 6% of that indirect benefit if people stay and they spend money in Bayside. But what I think what Commissioner is saying, and everybody here is wondering, the direct benefit that you're going to get because, or as a consequence of having that wheel there, that we are only getting 6% of it, that we should get a little bit more. That is the only thing that I'm saying. The indirect benefit, we are not going to measure it because it is not, we don't have a probability of measuring.
Thank you.
It's going to happen, but we don't have a way of measuring. But
Commissioner
the direct benefit, yes.
Commissioner Hardeman, then Commissioner Carollo.
So the 6% number has been negotiated. Since Bayside became a partner in the city of Miami. You know, Bayside has provided a number of opportunities for business owners and for improvements, economic development in our communities, as well as scholarships for students. We know that to be a fact. And so when I look at it, the 6% to me is a foregone issue. I believe that part of the reason that they may not have projections is that maybe they do have projections. But even so, if it doesn't cost them to build it, and they get 50% of what comes in, there's no risk to them.
That's right.
So they make money. It should be profitable for them either way. And since we have the property right, which is the air right, I think that not touching the 6%, we should at least, and I'm probably saying something that all of you already probably have anticipated or talked about already, but we should at least participate in the revenue sharing for the wheel. That's above and beyond the 6%. Why? Because it's like a windfall. Because it wasn't anticipated as a property right. It's a new day. It's a new year. You still win. You don't have to put any more money in. It's nothing different than what it was before. Because at the end of the day is this. If they had a tenant that was paying rent, most likely that tenant is not paying a revenue sharing rent. He's paying rent. And at some point, he's going to stop at that ceiling, whatever his rent is, and he can make infinitely more dollars. But here, there's no ceiling. It appears to be. They get a portion of the revenue that comes in until people stop riding. And, you know, we can anticipate that this wheel maybe becomes the Miami wheel or something of that nature. And so why shouldn't Miami participate with it?
Thank you.
Especially if you have the right.
And if I could, Mr. Pathman, there's a lot of math going around here, but the most important math is 1, 2, 3. And you've already heard 3 commissioners now state they'd like to see a little better deal for the city. Is there a proposal you would have to counter what Commissioner Carollo has said, that we can actually wrap this up in the next 3 minutes before the budget hearing begins? Otherwise, this may get
Saving
tabled.
that much time, huh?
It may get tabled. Well, and we spoke about this actually. I really see the will to go through with this, but I mentioned to you that maybe this might come up, so I hope you have something.
I'll need to confer with my client, but I want to clarify a few things. One, we've always been open about 6%, what our deal was with Skyview Americas. It's 50%, it's net, not gross. We've never been approached by the city until today about revenue or any revenue share. I don't want to debate the whole idea of air rights, but I disagree with a lot that's been said because we are a leasehold interest. I do agree that we need the commission's approval in order to have this kind of amusement, but these kinds of things that we're proposing today, we're doing because retail and everything has changed, and you need to have draws to a place like Bayside, otherwise you're going to have a failure on your hand. We hope it creates a lot of revenue, but earlier it was stated, you know, the London Eye. The London Eye has been bank owned twice. That's how much money they've made in London. We don't know what that revenue stream is going to be. Let me confer with my client for 30 seconds and see what can we do as some adjustment, but it has to be something that takes in consideration the cost of our operation, a net situation, and include some rent factor plus the 6% you're already getting. And then we can probably come to some kind of number. But I need to confer with them. You know, this is not something that we were prepared to discuss today, but we put it on the table from the very beginning about what our operations were and everything we're doing. I discussed it with Commissioner. I've discussed with all the commissioners, actually, including the administration. So let me confer with them. You give me just 30 seconds?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Carollo?
Every store that goes there, they do calculations. They have numbers of what they expected. They're not being straight with us in this. And the bottom line is, whether they tell us they're going to make $10, $10 million, $20, or $20 million, we should get, I suggest, 50% of it, of what they're getting. So that's fair. We're getting 25% of the whole deal. From what they said, the first wheel people are getting 50%. Then out of the 50% they're getting, we're getting 25%. It's a windfall for them. They're telling us that, hey, they're only bringing this here to bring additional business to the rest of the Bayside.
No,
they're really not making any money. This it don't matter. Then why are they fighting us so much?
No, they're making money.
Percentages.
Nobody's saying they're not making money. What they're not telling us is the exact projection, and you are absolutely right. It's easy to make such a projection. There's a finite number of units on the wheel. It'll be operating for X number of hours a day, and they'll know at 100% what they make.
Well, but gentlemen,
At 50% capacity, what they make.
Have you heard what I said? I mean,
Oh, yes,
this is,
you've been clear.
this top of the line wheel. They're air conditioned. They're going to serve drinks there. They have tables. I mean, this is a really nice operation where it's going to make a lot of money. That's why they want it. Do you think that if this is not going to make any money, they wanted to bring it here?
The London said the London Eye was bank owned twice. That doesn't mean it didn't make any money though.
Yeah, that's for sure. But my problem here is that our administration has not demanded that we get the numbers that they ran, or if not, inquire ourselves. There are plenty of places across America that you could ascertain real quick. In areas that you have the kind of traffic we have here at Bayside, which might be unequal to any other area in America, I don't know. Supposedly in this area we have 23 million people that come a year. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but you could easily compare 2 or 3 other places in America and find out what they're making. You might be surprised. The potential is here.
So,
I think we gotta find our numbers.
yeah, so Commissioner Gord and I are comfortable. You need to find a third vote, and you've got some requests here. So,
Let me discuss.
Right, so, what we were just trying to conference very quickly, because it's not something we were planning on talking about, our issue is, again, it's on a gross number, so it doesn't actually go down to net, right?
I thought you said it's on a net number.
No, I'm saying, but our 6% is on a gross number, right? With no deductions for any type of expenses. So regardless of how much our expenses increase over time, it's
But
we're still paying the same.
what you're getting is after they take off the gross that they would have with you per contract. What you're getting then is really net gross because you don't have any expenses out of what they give you. So we should give half of what you're getting.
At a certain point, it's not worth it for us to do this, right? So,
Listen, come on.
Let him finish, please. Please.
So-
You've made your request.
Right. There's a lot of things we do at Bayside. We spend a lot of money to drive business, to drive traffic. We spend $500,000 a year on live musicians. It's hard to tell what the return on all those things are. So we're doing what we can to make Bayside succeed, hit our breakpoints, and pay the city hopefully a lot of money. Because paying the city a lot of money, we're making a lot of money. We could a 50-50 split. It just makes no sense. It just doesn't work.
Why doesn't it work? Because it doesn't leave enough money in your pocket?
Correct.
So what I can do is essentially pay double what we're currently paying. So it's 6%. We could go to 12%. But more than that, it's just the project doesn't make sense for us.
Just let's understand what he's offering. 12% of what?
12% of whatever we receive from the wheel.
From the wheel.
Right.
Regardless of thresholds, etc.
Yeah.
I would like to know if there is a.
It's not even a quarter.
Okay, 12% of what you receive.
Correct.
That otherwise we were not receiving anything from the wheel.
No, we were.
We will.
We were within 6%.
6%.
We were receiving 12%.
Right.
12% from the wheel.
Okay.
Is there a
Much
third
better.
commissioner here
Much better.
who is satisfied with the deal as is, or is
Much better.
willing to take
What-
the offer that they are having at 12%?
What I'd
Well,
like,
I'll always take an offer, that's the.
what I'd like before, since they're not willing to be straightforward with us and show us their projections, and they're not willing to do that because you're going to fall out of your chairs in whatever projections they show you. I'd like for the administration, and they could do that real quick. I don't even mind holding a special meeting for this because I think it's that important in the potential amount of dollars that we would get for the city's future. I would like the administration instruct this commission to instruct the manager to have a real estate department contact key places that have similar style wheels, not what we get at the fair,
and get us some estimates of the amount of money that comes in.
So that's one direction. The other direction is to approve this today with the offer that they're giving us. Commissioner Gort, would you like to make an amendment with regard to the offer they put on the table?
I'm ready to take the amendment, and I understand what he's trying to do, but I don't think this is a place to be negotiated right here in this meeting. I think we should have done that way before. This should have come up, this is the second reading, and we're discussing about an additional 6%. And I understand, every time you invest money, you gotta have a return on your investment, and you gotta be able to pay the lawn for whatever it costs to do what you're gonna build. So the air right that I see in here is not really the air right of a building where you will get a lot more of a profit. So I don't have any problem accepting the amendment of 12%.
All right, Chair seconds the amendment as well. So I just need to know, before we take a vote, is there a third commissioner here who's happy with receiving 12% of wheel revenue?
12% is change in this deal. Listen, in order to trying to solve this, I will accept that amendment if the direction to the manager is followed, and if we find, when they come with the results, that it is more than 12%, then that is what we will receive.
I mean, they're going to build the wheel at that point.
You misconstrued my instructions to the administration. What I'm asking them to find out, the gross money that these
the gross
wheels
money,
bring
the
in.
total.
So you can see
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
what we're losing out. I mean, look, for them to give you 6% like this, that should be a flashing warning light of what's being left on the table.
Commissioner Hartman,
That's chump change in this
are
deal.
you ready to vote?
You know what? I'll bet you that this might bring even more than your ultra.
Well, you've doubled our revenue.
I think Commissioner Coroyo is right. I think he's right. But, I think right now we don't see any projections. The reason that you're willing to do the 25% is because notwithstanding the projections, it's still 25% of whatever comes in. So it's a good deal. It went from 0% to 12%, right? That was the offer. It may be possible.
Listen,
but I don't think.
Go higher.
One at a time, please.
I believe that you're right. I believe that, and there is something to say to receiving projections before you make a decision like this. But I think that once we receive projections, it's kind of going to be like one of those things where this thing could be very lucrative, and that might not be something they want to divulge. And so the 25% would make sense. But I don't think I'm going to be the third vote on the 12%. I'm willing to kind of stick it out with Commissioner Coroyo at least a little further.
Commissioner Reyes is offering to be a third vote at 12% if we receive projections afterwards.
Look, let's vote on it.
Well, it's going to fail. You can see it right now.
Hey, that's
No,
all.
wait a minute.
I don't take it personally. If they want to fail, it's fine. No problem.
Look, this is not anything personal against Bayside or anybody there.
You made your point clear.
This is strictly running this city in a business-like way. This is to bring top dollars, the last dollar that we can, for the residents of Miami.
You've made your point. Let's not
Wait
repeat.
a minute. Is there any possibility that we can get, I don't know that if there is similar wheel like this in the United States, but how long will it take for us to obtain some reports of revenue reports, of gross revenue reports of similar wheels or as close as similar than this one?
Well, information like that can take a while, and you have to be able to access it. I'd like to just bring up a couple things. One, we've had an open book the whole entire time for 2 years. Okay, we've never hidden anything. We never said we wouldn't talk about revenue. It was never asked. What you're seeking today is going to kill this project. So we all end up with zero. Is that what you want? Because my client just advised me
You asked
that
me
he's
a
not,
question.
he said,
You asked me a question.
no, I didn't ask the question.
You did. You said, "Is that what you want?" So I want to ask you. I'm going to
Okay.
respond to what you just said. I want you to help me understand because I don't want to be unfair. Help me understand. By us in the city of Miami, the residents getting a greater percentage of revenue going to kill the project for you when the I don't know where your 25% is coming from. I don't know. We didn't ask it from the vendor. We're talking about it from Bayside. And then you all can talk however you want to, give a split the 25 if you want to do it at all. But the question is, if you're getting new revenue where you don't have to spend any more money to receive that revenue, how is it that us getting a part of that revenue going to kill the project?
But we're giving you a part of that revenue now. You're also going to get the benefit of what we hope the wheel will do to Bayside overall. You're going to get additional money, the 6% over the whole life of the lease. And if it brings more people and more people are shopping at Bayside, you're going to get the benefit of all of that as well.
Maybe it does not. Maybe it does not. Maybe it does not bring more revenue to Bayside that gets us more money than the 6%. Maybe it does, maybe it does not. But what we're talking about is not the revenue to Bayside. We're not talking about the 6%. We're talking about above and beyond. We're talking about what the wheel itself generates. If the wheel itself is generating new money, not contemplated necessarily in the 6%.
Well, we are talking abstractly about wheels, whether it's in London or whether it's in Tennessee or Seattle. We've never been asked to give information. I can tell you the London Eye has failed twice and been bank owned. You had in Bayside a hot air balloon ride a few years ago, failed miserably. But when it was brought to the city's attention, they thought they were going to make a lot of money. They went bankrupt.
But we
are, Commissioner, let me try to answer.
Revenue. We're not asking about profit. We're asking about revenue. I mean, for instance, the Miami Heat, right? They say to the residents of Miami-Dade County that they're a failed organization. They do not turn a profit. They don't pay rent, right? Or taxes or something to that extent. Right. But certainly, they create revenue. They have millions upon millions, if not over the years, billions of dollars in revenue. That's a much different conversation. So I'm trying to really truly understand the point that you're making by saying if we get additional revenue, that makes your project a failed project. How?
Because they get less revenue.
They've already invested about $2 million because we've been here 2 years trying to get this done. They've got major construction costs and acquisition costs. The city's not sharing in any of that. And yet you're going to have a revenue stream, what was offered today at 12% from the get-go. Plus the benefit that it creates for Bayside on the other 6% that you'll be deriving on the overall lease. It's a pretty healthy deal for something that's never been mentioned before by this city in our negotiations.
All right.
And it's very hard to analyze what you're asking to analyze from the floor. Everybody here knows that if we don't have an approval today, basically the project's dead.
I'm going to do.
So tell me before, what is Bayside putting into this to make this wheel happen? How much money is Bayside, the organization, spending to make this wheel happen?
I don't have an answer. Jody.
Bayside we're not putting any money in, we're giving the land for no rent and taking the risk that it will generate revenue.
So you're similarly situated to us, right? You're giving the land to start the building, we're giving the air rights to finish the building, the structure.
All right.
Right? So we're not putting any money,
Let me bring this to a close at the moment. And I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to do you a favor because if the vote happens right now, let me tell you right now, you don't have it. And you should have it. And the reason you won't have it is because you're not prepared today. Our administration's not prepared. If they wanted to have this approved, they would have had the projections of the gross revenue, which my 6-year-old daughter could do in about 10 minutes. You know exactly how many pods are on the wheel, how many hours it's operating. If it's at 100% capacity, you know what you're going to make. If it's at 80% capacity, you know what you're going to make. If no one's done that simple projection, I can't help you up here because with that projection, you could have told us at 6%, you're making X dollars a year. At 12%, you're making X dollars a year, and you might have found the solid vote that you needed here. But we're talking abstract in percentages without a dollar attached. My recommendation, gentlemen, is that we table this till after the budget. That'll give the administration time to talk with you about the right way this could be based on what you've offered. what you've offered may be sufficient to find a third vote here if we understand what it means. But we don't at the moment, and that's why it's shaky. So that's my recommendation, gentlemen. I'd like to table this item till after the budget. We'll come back to it. And if they've got solid numbers that satisfy this board, we can move forward.
The administration is not going to get numbers after 5 p.m. today or tonight for us to look at.
They can.
They have the numbers, but they don't want to give them to us.
Well, if they want this to happen, they will.
Let me say something else. You want to shoot craps with me? We're going to shoot craps. You're threatening that you don't get the 12% now, and look how quickly they gave us another 6%. They're threatening that if they don't get the 12%, not a penny more they're going to pay, the project is dead. It's dead. It's gone. You know, we're going to lose the couple of bucks that they're saying that they were going to make in land that they're giving up. Mind you, it was land that had trees and grass in it. They weren't using.
No trees.
Well, I'm going to say this to you, that I'm going to make the resolution. If you and the ownership decide you want to cancel it because we're asking more, I'll make a resolution that the Ferris Wheel people, we invite them to come right next door, just a few feet over, and we'll only ask them for 30%, and they could keep 70%. And you know what? We're going to make a heck of a lot more money than with them. How about that? We don't lose them.
All right.
And even if it's going to cost them a little more because of the work they've done there on the Ferris Wheel side, they're going to save so much money with us being on our side that it's not going to matter. So don't tell me again that it's going to be a dead deal, because it's not going to be a dead deal. We'll bring it right next door. So threaten someone else that doesn't know a little bit about business.
We haven't
Because I
threatened
assure
you.
you, if I was able to deal with Donald Trump in business, I could deal with all you guys and more.
All right.
We've been upfront the entire time.
Thank you very much, but you're not prepared in this moment to give the numbers we need. The timeliness issue of why we're trying to pass this today is this allows them to have it ready for Super Bowl, which it was going to have an incorporation with the Fan Fest that'll be going on in the area. And that's why we're trying not to defer the item, but rather see if there's a solution here. But I do not agree with the gun to the head shakedown method of negotiation. This is why what they have here is, it is do or die for them, because this gavel right now decides whether they have a project or not, and we're asking them for more money, more money. This wasn't negotiated in good faith with the administration. It's a tough spot for them, I understand, but here we are. You need a third vote, and you're going to work together with the administration now to see what projections look like, so we have some clear answers, and we'll bring this back after the budget.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Harmon.
I think, you know, using the term shakedown, it kind of implies something illegal is being done.
No, not illegal, just not very friendly.
The thing about it is that the administration knows the type of issues that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So I would say that it is their responsibility to talk about these things. And I wouldn't think that they would not have mentioned it at all. As a matter of fact, I mean, when I did my briefings earlier this week, I mean, this is part of the conversation I had with them. So it's not as if no one knew that there will be commissioners that will think about the value of the property rights that will be given up. So, you know, I think this is an issue that everyone could have easily anticipated. And, you know, it's just a matter of working out something that makes sense. No one's trying to fail a business, but certainly there's going to be revenue. Certainly there's a lot of potential revenue to be made. And because we're giving up a new property right, we should have some value for it. Now, the question is what that value is. And I think we're closer to a yes than we were when we started. And so I would not say I would just say that we allow this to mature a little bit while we're in session. And then by the end, we may have a decision on this.
I think you're right. Thank you. We're going to table this item. The meeting's in recess until after the budget. Yes? We're going to take about a 5-minute break just so we can gather ourselves and get...
I need more than 5 minutes, because we just received the changes that
for the budget.
and I haven't been able to look at it.
much time you need?
Understood.
About 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
15-minute recess and we'll start the budget
20
hearing.
minutes, okay? All right.